Alright guys, in this video, we will be talking about my blocks. Right here, my blocks. We're gonna go over how to make my blocks and what are the benefits of my blocks. So basically, my blocks has three benefits. Number one, allows you to reuse your code multiple times without having to copy and paste the same code in different places. Number two, it allows you to organize your code better. And number three, it improves the performance, makes your game run faster. I will show you examples of all of this. Okay, so what I've done here is I have set up this code to basically draw a square. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the green flag. It drew a square and you saw the cat moving, right? All right, so now what we can do is we can actually put all of this code inside a custom block. So let's go right here, click on My Blocks, and then let's click on Make a Block, and we'll give this block, we'll call it shape. All right, go ahead and click on OK. All right, so now we have this, block right here called defined shape, and basically that's what you use to tell the computer what code you want your block to run. Okay, so for example, I'll add this here. So now what I can do is, so now I created a custom block and I defined it. I defined what I want it to do. Okay, and so now I can use that block simply by grabbing that and connecting it to my code here. Okay, so now let me erase this shape. So now when I click on the green flag, you'll notice it does the same exact thing, right? Because we created a custom block, we told it that this is the code we wanted to run, and over here this is how we're using this block. Okay, now so the benefit of this, okay, having a custom block is that we can run this code multiple times without having to copy it and paste it. Okay, so for example, if I take this one space key pressed, let's say when I do that, I want to draw another square. Okay, so I can press space, and there you go, it draws the square. Okay, now if we did this without a custom block, we would have to take this code and we would have to duplicate it and put it right here, and then we would have to put one copy right over here. You see that? Let's get rid of this. This is what we would have to do, right? Like that. We would have to add this code twice, right? Now let's say that I want to do this on mouse up. Arrow up, right? I would have to do the same thing again, copy this code, put it here, right? So now I have the same code in three different places, okay? It's duplicate code, a lot of work, all right? It's messy, okay? So the best thing to do is use our custom block. All right, so I just have to do this now. Okay, so simple as that. Right there. Okay, so now I can press the up arrow, I can press space, I can press the green flag, and it will run the same exact code. Okay. Okay, so now this is great if you want to draw, a square every time, but what if you wanted to draw a different shape? Let's say we want to draw a pentagon, when we press the space key. And when we press the up arrow key, we want to draw a different shape. How do we do that? Okay, we can do that simply by adding inputs to our My Block. Okay, let's go ahead and click on My Blocks again. Click on Make a Block, and this time we're going to call it Shape with Inputs. Okay, so what are inputs? Well, inputs is this thing right here. So when I click on this right here, it says add an input, number, or text. So what we're going to do is we're going to call our first input, we're going to call it sides. Okay, and then let's go ahead and add one more input, and we'll call this steps. All right, so now we have a block shape with inputs, and we have two inputs, and you'll see what I mean by inputs. Okay, so go ahead and click on OK. All right, so now we have our new block right here. Okay, let me move this out of the way. So now what we're going to do, we're going to take the same code, we're just going to paste it right here. And so now if you'll notice, we have these two inputs, sides and steps. Okay, what we could do now is we can take this, put it right here. Okay, this sides is a variable now. Okay, these are variables. And we can take steps and we can put that right over here. Okay. Move steps, repeat sides. And then, we have the turn 90 degrees. Okay, so now let's try this. Let's go ahead and replace this one with that. Okay, shape with inputs. Okay. All right, so now when I press space key, I'm going to say, I'm going to put in 4 for the sides. Now I'm going to put in 100 for the steps. Okay, so let's go ahead and hit the space. Let me clear this first. Okay, now when I press space, it draws a square. You see that? So basically what's happening, okay, let me bring this closer. Basically what's happening is that this number 4, okay, takes place of the sides right here. Okay, the sides right here is equal to 4, okay, when I run this code. And the steps right here, that is equal to 100, okay? Now, let's say I want to do 50 steps. I can just simply change that to 50. Let me erase it, and when I click on space, now you see it drew a smaller square, okay? Now, what if we want to draw a pentagon, okay? So I can put in 5 right here. Okay, let's do this with an up arrow. Let's say I want to draw a pentagon with an up arrow. I put in 5 and I put in 100 steps, okay? All right, so now if I erase this and I run this code, okay, you'll notice that it still drew a square, right? The reason is that we still have turn 90 degrees right here. Okay, so it's going to turn 90 degrees and it's just going to keep drawing a square. So in order to draw a pentagon, we need to change the angle right here. Okay, this angle right here. Okay, so what we can do is we can go over here to operators. We can grab the division block and we can plug it in right here. And then what we can do is we can grab our sides variable, put it right here. And then in this field, we can put 360. So 360 divided by the number of sides will give you the angle that we need to draw, any kind of shape we want. All right. So now let me clear this out. Now let's test it out. Now if I press the up arrow, there you go. See, it draws a pentagon. So we have our space key, draws a square, up arrow, draws a pentagon. Now what if we want to draw like a hexagon? Let's see. Let's grab let's do it on down arrow. One down arrow press, we want to draw a hexagon. Okay, a hexagon has 6 sides. All we got to do now is change this to a number 6. And now when I press down arrow, boom, there you go. You have a hexagon. Okay, I can control how big I want it to be. I can say I want it a little bit smaller. When I click the down arrow, there you go. Now we're a hexagon. You see that? So that's how you can use my block with inputs. Okay, when you want to write the same code, you can write the same code, but you just want to change like certain things about it, right? In this case, we have one code that draws a shape, but with the inputs, we can draw pretty much any shape we want, okay? Okay, so that was the first benefit of using my blocks. It allows you to write the same code over and over without having to, copy and paste it everywhere, okay? So now let's look at the second benefit, which is to organize your code better. All right, so here I have some code that I set up. So basically, on the left-hand side, I have some code in a forever loop. And this is basically, it allows us to move the cat up, down, left, right. And then over here on the right-hand side, I have some code where we draw a shape, we set the rotation styles, and then we add some color effect. Okay, so now let's take a look at how this works. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the green flag. There you go. It draws a square and then it's blinking, right? As you can see, our code is running as well. Okay. So now what we can do is we can organize our code. We can take this portion right here. We can put it inside of a my block to organize it better. Okay. So let's go to my blocks, click on make a block, and we'll call this one controls. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and click on OK. All right, so now what we can do is we can take this code. We can take this code and put it right here under controls. Okay, now we have this empty forever, right? And if you look over here, we have this kind of similar code, right? With the green flag clicked, and we have another forever, a forever right here. All right, so now what we can do is we can take our new block, we can actually put it right in here. Okay, we can put it in here, and that way now we can get rid of all of this. Okay, this is not needed anymore. You see? So now our code is a little bit more cleaner. It's a bit more organized. Okay, and now if I run it, okay, it does the same exact thing, right? Now I can move around, right, as before. Look at that. Okay. So what we did is we took out the code that we had before in a forever. We put it in our own, custom my block, and now we're using that right here. Okay, controls. All right. So that's the second benefit of using, custom blocks, is that you can organize your code better. All right. Now let's look at the third thing, which is how my blocks can make your code run faster. Okay. Okay. So now let me get rid of all of this code. We don't need it anymore. Let me get rid of this. Let's get rid of that. And let's get rid of this as well. All right, so now all we have is this, okay? All right, so now when I click on the green flag, okay, it draws a square, okay? Then we make it a little bigger. Okay, so there you go, I drew a square, but if you'll notice, you saw the cat moving, right? The cat moves when it draws, okay? That's happening because when our program runs, okay, it's refreshing the screen at every frame, okay? That's why you're able to see the cat moving, okay? Now that slows down our program, okay? What we can do is we can speed it up by going to editing our custom block that we created. And this time, what you want to do is you want to click on this. You want to check mark run without screen refresh. Okay, that means our code will run without refreshing the screen. Okay, so now if I click on OK. All right, so now let me clear this. Now when I run it, boom, it's instant. You see that? Let me erase it again. And there you go. You see that? It's right away, okay, because it doesn't have to refresh. All right, now what if I wanted to draw like 10-sided shape, right? Let's do that. Boom, right there. It's instant, right? Okay, so that's the third benefit of using my blocks. Makes your code run much faster. Let's look at some more examples of that. All right, so here I have some code that I set up, and on the right-hand side you have an arrow and a box right here, a yellow box, and then I have a forever loop right here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and connect this. And basically, the forever loop calls our custom block, right? It calls it over and over. Okay, it's simple. It's like this basically, right? So you have the forever loop is going to run all this code, right? But except that we have it in our custom block. All right. So now if I run this, you'll notice when the arrow gets to the box, the arrow is kind of bouncing around, right? Now we might not want that in our game. We simply want pretend that if this was a wall and this was our character, we don't want the character to get to the wall and keep bouncing around, right? With our eye, we want it to stop there. All right. And the reason why it's bouncing, okay, is because we didn't check run without screen refresh. Okay, let me stop this and let me edit. You see that right here? Remember we unchecked it. So now let's check it back. Click OK. And now when I run it, you'll notice it goes to the block and it stops. You see that? It's not bouncing around anymore. So if I pull it here, it goes back. If I put it here, as soon as it gets to the box, it stops. And no more bouncing around. Right? So imagine you're building like a platformer game and your character gets to a wall. You don't want the character to be bouncing back and forth. You want it to stop when it gets to the wall. Okay. And that's how you do that. You do that with a custom block and you set it to this run without screen refresh. Okay. Make sure you check that. All right. Okay. So now let's look at one last example. Okay. So here I have some code for this pencil sprite. Okay. So we created a custom block called square. And what it does is basically it repeats 10 times and it draws a square right here. It's basically right now it's drawing 10 squares, right? Because it's repeating 10 times and each time it runs, it draws a square right here, okay? And then on the right-hand side, basically I added a green flag and then I call that the custom block that we created, right? Square. And then it says say timer for 2 seconds. So this will basically tell us how long it took to draw that square, okay? Okay, so now if I go into edit this block, so if you notice over here, I don't have this check marked, okay? So let's see what it does. So now if I run the code, it'll draw 10 squares and it'll tell you how long it took. So that's at 1.35 seconds. Now what if I wanted to draw 100? Okay, let's do 100. Let's see how long that takes. Okay, so look at that. That took 13 seconds, right? Okay, how do we make it faster? Okay, so it's simple, right? All you gotta do is go here and check more of this right here. Run without screen refresh. Click on OK. And now let's test it out. Now if I click on the green flag, boom, it's instant. You see that? I'll click it again. 0.03 seconds, right? 0.04, right? It's very fast. I could even do 1,000. Okay. And look at that. 1,000 squares in 0.03 seconds, okay? I could even do 10,000, all right? Look at that. 0.04. It filled out the whole entire screen, but it was instant, right? It happened right away. All right, guys, that's it for this video. Until next time, bye-bye.